Hunter Biden is facing over 2.5 years in prison if Joe Biden does not pardon his own beloved son. Now, what is the chaos that you're about to watch? I'm going to break it down piece by piece. Let's get right into it. Let's first address the charges. The guy is being hit from every single direction on stuff that he's definitely dead to rights on being guilty of. We're talking about several different misdemeanors and felonies insofar as missing millions of dollars of tax payments. And then even beyond that, he's also guilty of gun charges such as lying on a forum that's supposed to say, "Are you under the influence?" And he actually lied on that. In fact, he is the type of guy who would be on crack, strung out, trying to get a gun. Even beyond this, he's the type of guy that would just throw away a gun in a garbage can as if that's even legal. The other thing also is that his whole defense was predicated, these millionaire lawyers predicated the defense on, he was under the influence when he was doing all these taxes, and so therefore he didn't pay them, as if we have that excuse as Americans. But nevertheless, the golden child could not even get that done right. In fact, the lawyer screwed that pooch, and he's going to go to jail unless Joe Biden saves him. But here's the other thing. What's so ironic about his lawyer's defense is that the lawyer's going to say, and the shamelessness from these people is that, he was addicted to drugs all the time. That's why he couldn't pay his taxes. And then guess what? The defense against the gun charges he was guilty of earlier this year was, he was not on drugs when he signed the ATF for him to buy a gun in the first place. Anyway, let's get into it.
Prosecutors exploit his family's pain during the Delaware trial, and realizing that they were planning to do it again here in California, Hunter decided to enter his plea to protect those he loves from unnecessary hurt and cruel humiliation. This case was an extreme and unusual one.
All right, call me a heartless liar, but tell me, did Hunter consider the humiliation of the family when he was strung out getting foot massages by Chinese prostitutes of questionable age? Was he really regarding the dignity of the Biden family when he was strung out cross-country, New Mexico, renting cars, getting them into accidents, having local police departments sweep up clear crimes and intoxication, and much less the hard drugs he was definitely on when he was arrested in many different cases over the past 15 years? Come on, are you really telling me this now? Again, the brazen lies from these people saying, he's trying to save his family from embarrassment of what? His own crimes? Really? Are you joking? Oh, now he's a saint. Saint Hunter Biden. In fact, the last video, thank you all for the support, by the way, 133,000 views, but Joe Biden says, Kamala Harris has the patience of a saint, or the morality of a saint. And, these are the same people that are saying Hunter Biden's turned a new leaf. And that's insane.
The case was an extreme and unusual one for the government to bring.
Are you kidding me? Really? A strange and unusual case. Yes, don't pay millions of dollars of taxes. God forbid they actually get you to pay the taxes, or in this case, they literally gave you a sweetheart deal, which was all the rage last year, right, in the news, if you were reading it. They were trying to get Hunter Biden off pretty much scot-free, all intents and purposes discussed here. And guess what happened? He rejected that one. The privilege and the absolute spoiled rotten Hunter Biden could not even take a plea deal where he would actually not have to spend his middle ages behind a prison cell. But now he very well might if Joe Biden doesn't bail him out. This is insane for the lawyer to say. Okay, let's read out Hunter Biden's statement on the guilty plea. Again, you are a 50-year-old man who has spent the better part of your entire adult life, frankly, living for your own pleasures, living to do drugs, all these sort of things, strung out. God knows how many hundreds of thousands of dollars were spent on his rehab, several different occasions, the sleeping with his dead brother's wife, okay, a widow. And I mean, just the depravity that you don't really need to know. But let's see what he's got to say as an atonement. I went to trial in Delaware, not realizing the anguish it would cause my family, and I will not put them through it again. When I was addicted, I wasn't thinking about my taxes. What the really? How about an apology? How about I screwed up? How about I shortchanged the American taxpayer by millions of dollars over the span of several years? You could say, I was doing drugs. Okay, so it never passed your mind to, pay your taxes? Like, is that how, again, I'm not a hard drug addict, but you don't pay taxes for, let's say, 4 years. It didn't cross your mind not a single time that, I might need to pay it. I mean, this is about as stupid as saying like, oh, I never knew how to turn off the stove. I was drunk. And it's like, dude, eventually the house would be on fire. And that's his financial house. Didn't pay the taxes for years. What the hell's going on? And oh, I don't want to put my family through this again, as if he's already not done that 20, 30 times when it comes to, again, addiction, court cases, guilty. And we're not even broaching the Biden grandchild that has not been really acknowledged. Again, Hunter Biden actually fathered strippers. He has a kid by a stripper, actually, somewhere in Arkansas, I believe. Crazy stuff. But folks, the steak gets even juicier and the cow just keeps feeding us. Look at this. I was thinking about surviving, but the jury would have never heard that or know that. And I had paid every single penny of my back taxes, including penalties. So you were thinking about surviving when you weren't paying your taxes. So does part of surviving also include a crack pipe? I'm just curious. I don't know. I come off kind of catty, but it's so true though. Again, the privilege. Oh, my dad's the vice president. Oh, my dad's the president, but I can't pay my taxes. I'm getting $1 million jobs at boards that I don't even have to go to, like Burisma and the Ukraine. And my dad's like taking all this flack, firing the prosecutor just to keep his whack ass on crack employed and actually having a ton of money. And he still couldn't pay his taxes. Are you fucking kidding me? Like, really? Is that what we're talking about? I was thinking about surviving, by the way. The most spoiled brat on the planet, actually. So now that we've been informed as to what's happening to Hunter Biden in the short term, what's the long term? How does this affect the election? Obviously, there's 50 states to talk about, but in general, broad strokes, how does this really change the math? Look, this is totally a bad look for the Democrats. For years, they've been saying, oh, you Republicans, you're seething about Hunter Biden. It's not relating to anything criminal, guys. And actually, now it is. And in the most pertinent sense, not because, oh, it's a drug conviction. No, we're talking about a guy shortchanging the American taxpayer. Yes, Joe Sixpack, paying, let's say, 20% of his income to the government and the state government. Hunter Biden paying zero and then living off the government dime via Vice President Biden at the time. Not a good look. But they'll say, oh, but Kamala's a different person. Not true. We covered that doubleheader rally. She's having Joe Biden speak to the white working class voters in Michigan nowadays. Why? Her appeal is that bad with white people. But even beyond this, Joe Biden taking hits at all doesn't mean that it's not going to affect Kamala. It will totally be a trickle down, much like Reagan and the tax philosophy of the 80s. It's totally going to bite Biden in the ass. Karma is really not a nice lady. And in fact, it's going to be a very vindictive one when you're talking about pardoning your own son. And you could totally see it for what it is. You could see that, it's your own kid. You want to make him not suffer in jail. Tyrone might make an example out of him. But the point being, though, is that obviously Joe is definitely predisposed to help him out. This is a bad look for the Democrats. Now, he could do this after the election, and the sentencing isn't until December, I believe. So it's not like it's going to matter for the election unless Joe Biden becomes the subject of the headlines. And if Donald Trump capitalizes on these material that I'm covering here, that, in fact, Kamala, are you promising to not do X and Y for Hunter Biden? Do you rebuke if Joe Biden were to do X and Y for Hunter Biden? There's no win for the Democrats. The best they can do is just not talk about it. And that's exactly what they've been doing recently. But it's becoming a bigger issue, as obviously this is a horrible look objectively. So now let's take a little bit of a victory lap, okay? Mark Zuckerberg not only complimented Donald Trump on the assassination, showing that he was a real leader and that it was frankly badass, and I completely agree, but he also admitted that he pushed the moderators or whatever the apparatus was on Facebook 4 years ago to suppress the Hunter Biden laptop story, and just went along with the government or basically the deep state sort of narrative that it was all Russian misinformation. And in fact, you can see that coming up again nowadays. And so, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg gets it now. And let's look at this Congressional Archive beauty right here from 2 years ago. Shock poll. 8 in 10 people think Biden laptop cover-up story changed the election, and I agree. Think about how many millions of people did not know that thing existed. I was one of the few teenagers that actually saw what was on the laptop, like completely. They leaked it on the internet before they censored all of it. It was up there for like a weekend in October, I believe, of 2020. And, there's some very felonious things. I alert to the Chinese prosty thing, hideous things, very heinous things. And so, I mean, this is sort of just touching the iceberg that the guy didn't pay his taxes or had gun issues. Okay. So, you know, complete vindication against for the Hunter Biden haters. Okay. So HBH, Hunter Biden hate, completely vindicated. Again, the person's going to be in jail. If not, Joe's going to save him. And guess what? That's going to backfire tremendously for the Democrats. And I'm going to wait for that day to happen. We might christen the most beautiful bottle of champagne for that. But we'll see you until then. Adios.